So one of our ladies told her husband she wanted a divorce. She was tired of the affairs he was having, tired of the lies, tired of the gaslighting. Her husband was a therapist, and he would use his training to get inside her head and do just really skilled gaslighting and manipulate every conversation so that she would end up apologizing for something he had done. But it was the affairs he'd been having that really drove her to say she wanted a divorce. He spent the night chasing her around the house all night, chasing her with a knife, threatening her with a knife, flinging plates at her, broken dishes all over the kitchen. She ended up calling the police. He got there out in the driveway. He got there first, and he said, "Thank God you're here. All calm now. I'm a therapist, and I do believe my wife is having another one of her psychotic meltdowns. Please, please help me to help her. I do believe she needs to be on a 5150 psychiatric hold for her own safety and for mine, frankly. I'm afraid of what she's going to do next." The police come in and find her looking frazzled, beside herself. They see shattered plates, the knife on the kitchen counter. She tries to explain, but she's not sounding too coherent in the moment. She's beside herself, having been up all night and being terrorized. So she ends up getting slapped in restraints and taken off to on a psychiatric hold in a locked unit. He comes to visit her, and she says to him, "Why did you do that?" And you know what he says? "Because I can." Now that's abuse on so many levels of his training as a therapist and his credentials, and just to prove to her who gets the final word. When survivors try to explain what's being done to them, if they're being stalked 24/7, if technology is being used to keep track of their whereabouts or even control their car, they can come across as sounding somewhat paranoid. But it's so important to sort out, is she in fact being stalked or terrorized? Or has the type of abuse she's been subjected to, has it driven her to the point of appearing mentally unbalanced through sleep deprivation and torture tactics? Or has she been subjected to physical abuse, like being strangled or punched in the head, maybe once too often, so that she's exhibiting some traumatic brain injury symptoms that can mirror those of being drunk? That's where we get the saying, punch drunk. So she could come across as being confused, scattered, disoriented, especially if she's just been strangled or punched in the head by her partner. So, or is she both mentally ill and a victim of this type of abuse? So many things to sort through. And yet, if we're only looking at it through the lens of mental illness, we'll miss so much more of what may be going on underneath. What's another good way to destroy a partner's credibility and make sure no one listens? Get her arrested, set her up, and make her look like the perpetrator. So one of our ladies was a stay-at-home mom. She devoted 12 years of her life to raising their 4 children. She was married to a litigating attorney. Over the years, he had a habit of backing her into a corner and slapping her face repeatedly whenever she did something that displeased him. So finally, she'd had enough, and she told him that she wanted a divorce. And she said she knew California was a joint community property state, and that she was entitled to 50% of the assets. Big mistake, letting all of those cats out of the bag. So he said nothing, like it didn't faze him at all, and he appeared to go along with her decision. Then shortly after that, she had outpatient surgery and came home on some heavy duty medication painkillers. That evening, he backed her into a corner and said to her, slap me, repeated it over and over again. You know you want to. And you know what she did? Yes, she made the mistake of her life. Big mistake. She admits it. She slapped him. He called the police. He made sure the marks on his face were even redder when the police arrived. They asked what happened. She admitted to striking the first and only blow. She was kicked out of the house. He got a restraining order against her, and she lost custody of their children. And he's worked systematically over the next several years to turn the children against her. And now she's estranged from her own children.